Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I am your host, Denise, and before I get into my review, I have to tell you who my favorite actor is this week. My favorite actor is Monique from the movie Precious, a movie that I will never watch again. It was hard the first time, and it's one that's on my list of I'm not going to watch it again. But I chose her as my favorite actor because she really played her role extremely well. And the scene that I went to for this review of my favorite actor is the scene where she goes to the social worker, who was played by Mariah Carey, to, answer some very pointed questions about her parenting skills as it related to her daughter, Precious. And as I listened to that scene and listened to the words that came out of her mouth, they horrified me just like they did the first time I saw it. So to portray a person that evil and heinous, Monique really brought it home. So she is my favorite actor this week. All right, folks, I'm going to get into my review, and my review is the movie Michael. It just came out. I saw it today. I think there was a pre-screening yesterday, but I chose to see it on the official opening day, which was today. And I got to tell you that for those of you who do not know, I am a Michael Jackson fan from way back. So when this movie came out, I said, I'm going to see it, and I'm going to see it on day one. This movie was directed by Antoine Fuqua. Okay, so you remember him from quite a few movies. Training Day comes to mind. But the stars of this movie, and there are lots of people in this movie, but the main characters that you see throughout the movie are Jafar Jackson, who is the nephew of Michael Jackson and Jermaine's son, one of his many children, and Coleman Domingo played Joe Jackson. Nia Long played Catherine Jackson. You have Juliano Valdi, and he was the young Michael Jackson. Lorenz Tate was our Berry Gordy, and Kendrick Sampson was Quincy Jones. Wow. Disclaimer, this movie spans from the time period of Gary, Indiana. So when the Jackson 5 group was formed, before they even, Joe gave them the name Jackson 5, this is when the movie starts, and the movie ends in 1988. So this is not a movie that shows you Michael Jackson in a biographical form from beginning to end. So I want to put that out there. And also, Janet Jackson does not appear in this film. She respectfully and kindly declined to be portrayed, and her siblings respected her decision, so you will not see her in this movie either. So when the movie begins, it begins in Gary, Indiana, and the group is just forming. Joe Jackson, the father, who was a taskmaster and quite had some interesting parenting skills, to say the least. He was a steel worker, so once he realized that his boys had a little talent going on, that's when the wheels started turning, and we're going to take this and run with it. And so very early on, you see that Michael Jackson was an incredibly gifted entertainer. He was gifted as a singer. He had a voice as a child singing, love ballads like a grown man. His voice was just so incredible. And as we watch the group being formed and the group, practicing and, getting themselves ready for the stardom that was just around the corner, you got glimpses of Michael really, really focusing in on specific entertainers that he would grow to admire and mimic or emulate. James Brown, for one, his footwork. You could see him watching him on television and studying that footwork. Gene Kelly, incredible dancer. Fred Astaire, another incredible dancer. So these are people that sort of mesmerized him as he was growing up and becoming the entertainer that he grew to be. And so you see his creative genius. He was quite good at art. So you would often see him drawing. You would often see him wanting friendships, but not in the traditional sense that you and I develop friendships with other people of our age, our peers. And so you see that very eccentric part of him as well when we have, the childlike behaviors that we came to know, the books that he read. He was very fascinated with Peter Pan and Neverland as a younger person. So this isn't something that started out of the blue. This was always there. And once it was there, it just became something very, very big. So you have this incredibly talented person who is managed by his dad, and the dad is, his main focus is, you got skill, you got talent, and we're going to take this skill and this talent, and we're going to run it into the ground and make money. We're going to do what I say. We're going to do when I say it. And we're going to do it how I say it. You're going to think the way I think. And that's the bottom line. So that is the umbrella that the Jackson 5 were under and Michael was under until he met the incredible Quincy Jones. So once he decided that, I've got all these thoughts in my head. I've got lyrics that come to me in the middle of the night and I'm thinking bigger than what we're doing here. And I want to do something on my own. And so, of course, his dad is against that, but once Off the Wall, that album came out and Michael literally blew up as a single artist and broke away from that group. He was off and running and there was no turning back and no stopping him. In the movie, you see very early on and very quickly that Joe Jackson had issues with Berry Gordy and the relationship that Michael had with him. And you see the same thing, when Quincy Jones became involved. So at some point, Joe Jackson realized, I can't keep my foot on his neck, but I'm going to try. So then we have the Jacksons and they're going on tour and Michael is kind of forced to stay with the group. He's a grown man. He's older. He's doing his own thing, but he still is under his dad's thumb. And you see that. And then you see how he was able to really break ties with him, which I got quite a laugh out of, the way that he broke ties with his dad in terms of him being his manager. The way he did it was quite interesting. And then the way that he finally separated from the group, the way that everybody found out that, this money train has come to its last stop at the depot, and that was extremely interesting and a surprise to everyone who heard that. So you've got of course, his rise to fame, the meteoric rise to fame was just incredible. You also see the beginning of what will become an addiction to drugs, in terms of those drugs that were those painkillers that helped him deal with the Pepsi commercial incident where his hair caught on fire, and the pain, the excruciating pain that he went through during that ordeal. And that's where, obviously he's given painkillers for that, but you kind of see where that started and how it escalated to other things. You see him and his, he was a perfectionist, and you see where he had his first nose job. Why? Because he didn't like the way his nose looked. Well, it didn't help that when he was younger, his dad made fun of the way he looked. So you deal with a very, very sensitive individual who takes those words to heart and was determined to change himself in ways that, people thought were a little extreme, and we all know that. But it was amazing to watch his nephew transform into Michael Jackson. There were scenes, especially during the Thriller era, Beat It, Bad, where he, morphed into his uncle. But there were times where I'm like, okay, is this a Michael clip, or is this a Jafar clip? Is this Michael? Is this Jafar? Because as he got older and went through that particular era, the hair and all of that, he really, really looked like him. So it's the best movie I've seen this year, and there is room for a part 2. I don't know that is necessary, but we'll just leave that out in the atmosphere. But if you are a Michael Jackson fan and you can watch the movie objectively, I sang and tapped my feet and danced in my seat the entire time. It was just fun to watch. So that is my review, the movie Michael, in theaters now. All right, I'm going to jump into my Nailed It, and it looks like I have a pattern of bad parenting going on, starting with my favorite actor, then the movie, and now my Nailed It. My Nailed It is one of my favorites, Denzel Washington from the movie Fences. And disclaimer, just me personally, that's an Academy Award that he should have received, but I digress. The scene, he was just a really, really broken individual, and, not the most, comfy, cozy, lovey-dovey dad that he could have been. But in this scene where his son comes out in the backyard and just simply asks his dad, why, how come you don't like me? And his dad just is like, I ain't gotta like you, and explains to him why in the most hurtful way possible. He went up one side of that young man and down the other, explaining to him in no uncertain terms why I ain't gotta like you. And so I'm like, geez, Dad. So Denzel Washington is my Nailed It for his unconventional parenting skills when asked a simple question from the movie Fences. All right, folks, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, make sure you hit that like button. And remember, I am available on BlueSky at HYSI. All right, moviegoers, until next week, you know what to do. I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.